what, just 1 minute here. Okay, this presentation will enhance your understanding of what is age-friendly, what is an age-friendly community, Minnesota age-friendly and the 8 priorities, age-friendly best practices. I am Val Matson, and joining me will be Stephanie Osnes, and we are from the Dancing Sky Area Agency on Aging. And who is the Dancing Sky? The Dancing Sky is an area agency on aging and one of 7 in the state of Minnesota. And as you can see from the map, that is the 21 counties that we serve throughout Northwest and West Central Minnesota. And we are made up of, it is made up, I should say, of a unique and resilient group of older adults, caregivers, persons with disabilities, home and community-based providers. What is age-friendly and why are we here today? Age-friendly is part of a global movement to prepare for an aging population and ensure that older people are valued and integrated into communities at a new level. Age-friendly Minnesota is a collaborative statewide effort to make our systems and communities more inclusive and responsive to older adults. Minnesota is undergoing a demographic shift that represents unprecedented opportunities and some challenges related to a population that grows older and more diverse each day. With more than 1 million Minnesotans age 65, that is more than the number of school-age children for the first time in our state's history. Minnesota must ensure that aging is a strategic priority. And here's a brief history of this age-friendly Minnesota movement. In 2006, the World Health Organization, also known as the WHO, in collaboration with the Public Health Agency of Canada, led research in 33 cities and 23 countries on factors that would make communities age-friendly and promote healthy aging. From there, the World Health Organization started the Global Age-Friendly Movement. And this was an initiative to create livable communities that are inviting, accessible for people of all ages, especially older adults. And from there, the momentum grew, and the World Health Organization established the World Health Organization Network for Age-Friendly Cities and Communities in 2010, as you can see on the timeline. At the beginning of the age-friendly movement, hospitals and healthcare systems were the best workplaces for older adults, but now many industries are joining the age-friendly movement. And New York, as you can see from the timeline also, that they were the first state to join the age-friendly states and communities in 2017. And these are just facts, little tidbits, I should say. In 2030, baby boomers will begin to turn 85, and 1 in 5 Minnesotans will be over the age of 65. And now Vietnam and Gulf War veterans are approaching age 65 and 75 years of age. And Minnesota is predicted to have more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 18 for the first time by 2035. And here's a timeline of events that led to Minnesota becoming an age-friendly state. In 2019, Governor Tim Walz signed the executive order number 19-38 for an age-friendly Minnesota council. In 2020, the age-friendly council develops and submitted 8 recommendations. 2021 legislation on age-friendly Minnesota passes in a special session. 2022, Minnesota became the 10th state to join the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities. And 2023, development of the age-friendly legislative agenda. And this was to ensure that the age-friendly Minnesota Council provided technical assistance and supportive administration of grant funds to communities to develop a multi-sector plan on aging. And here are some dates of the states that joined the AARP age-friendly network. And as you can see from the prior slides, we talked about New York was number 1 and Minnesota was number 10th. And the states are in between. And for Governor Walz, his factors in signing this age-friendly Minnesota was aging is a reality we must all face. Everyone wants to live in a community that is respectful, inclusive, and supportive of our contributions and needs. This executive order coordinates efforts across agencies and sectors to move us all toward an age-friendly Minnesota. So the age-friendly movement, as we talked about prior in 2006, the World Health Organization started the global age-friendly movement. And this was an initiative to create livable communities that are inviting and accessible for all people of all ages, especially older adults. But one of the main goals of the age-friendly movement is to eliminate physical and social barriers for older adults. Age-friendly communities support policies, services, systems, technologies, and products that promote and enhance residents' physical and mental health throughout their lives. An age-friendly community incorporates the following 8 core factors. The AARP has had their 8 domains in age-friendly communities for some time now. Noted in this slide are the 8 domains. And built in the built environment, you will see housing, outdoor spaces and buildings, and transportation. And in the social environments, you will see health and services, community supports, social participation, respect and social inclusion, communication and information, civic participation, and employment. Not only is the state of Minnesota age-friendly, we also have AARP age-friendly registered counties, cities, and grantees for a total of 44 registered throughout the state of Minnesota. And Stephanie will talk about more of these later as we progress in this presentation. But first, we're going to show an example of what becoming an age-friendly can look like before we take a deeper dive in the age-friendly efforts Minnesota has.
Becoming an age-friendly city or community can be an important step toward creating a world that is more inclusive for people who are aging, by fostering older people's capacities and encouraging healthy aging. An age-friendly city or community is one that is inclusive for all ages. The global network of age-friendly cities and communities brings together different cities and communities around the world. To join the network, you can begin involving key actors from your city or community, especially older persons, community organizations, and local governments. The first step in the process is consulting with older people in your community about physical and social barriers that they encounter in their everyday lives. Once these specific barriers to your city or community are identified, you can make a plan and act to change them. Commit to change today. Join the Age-Friendly Cities and Communities Global Network. For more information, please
Okay, thank you, Val. As she had mentioned earlier in our introduction, I am Stephanie, and we are going to take kind of a further dive into understanding what we just covered in the previous slides. And we're going to talk a little bit more about age-friendly Minnesota. So as you see on the top of my slide, I have AFMN. That stands for Age-Friendly Minnesota. So there are 8 priority areas that have been established since Minnesota started work to become an age-friendly state. There are 8 documents and briefs that explore current approaches and impacts to the 8 priority areas of age-friendly Minnesota. So this current slide and the next 7 that we're going to be going through, we'll talk about the priority area, their mission statement, and then an example of the work and the impacts that are already underway in the state. At the end of these 8 priority areas, there will be a website. Amy actually already put that into the chat that you can access to kind of look at these briefs more in detail. They are anywhere from like 8 to 12 pages long. So again, I just pulled out a few focus areas and some examples. So for our first priority area, we have inclusion and equity. So their mission statement is that we will be valued, respected, empowered, and free from discrimination, and will have access to services that are appropriate for us, regardless of age, income, physical or cognitive ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, geography, race, ethnicity, or culture. So one of the focus areas that they had was to build capacity of culturally specific organizations to better support their older community members. So an example that I pulled was the Minneapolis American Indian Center is providing in-home services such as meal delivery, weekly check-ins, and technology support for education and social and wellness resources for their American Indian elders. The next focus area is to build other providers' capacity to improve and expand effective services to older members of Minnesota's ethnic and cultural communities. So this was a Live Well at Home grant from Pelican Rapids that we have as an example. And they are working, Pelican Park Rapids Oaks Living at Home Network is working to strengthen relationships with diverse older adults in the Pelican Rapids area. And then the next focus area that I pulled was to support and cultivate connections between LGBTQ older adults. So Rainbow Health was highlighted as an example, and they're using an MBA dementia grant to support dementia awareness around LGBTQ+ and HIV positive Minnesotans. And actually Dancing Sky just did a webinar the other day on it by Rainbow Health, and it was a very good topic and very well attended. Priority area number 2, life at home and in the neighborhood. The mission statement here is that we will live in our homes and communities that we desire and have access to quality services and housing we need to do so safely, comfortable, and affordably. The focus areas that I pulled in examples are to promote and provide an array of culturally specific services to Minnesotans who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. This example here is the African Community Senior Services in Minneapolis. They are developing, expanding, and sustaining services for their African older American adults. The next one is supporting older adults in their independence, safety, and community living through home modifications. Northwest Community Action in Badger is the example that we have here, and they are providing home modifications for older adults and volunteer management in Roseau, Kitson, Lake of the Woods, and Marshall counties. And then the final one that I have for this one is to provide opportunities to innovate. So this example is kind of fun. Prairie 5 Community Action Agency in Montevideo purchased and outfitted a vehicle to serve as a mobile senior center that can bring community-based services to their residents in more than 30 rural communities. Priority area number 3 is health and well-being. The mission statement is we will have convenient, timely, and affordable access to activities we enjoy and the care and services we need to optimize our physical health, mental health, and overall well-being. The focus area and examples that I pulled were to provide evidence-based health promotion and disease management programs and coaching that empower older adults to make informed decisions about their health. So Faith Community Nurse Network in St. Paul had a Live Well at Home grant, and they're supporting and training their nurses to deliver 5 distinct evidence-based falls prevention and chronic disease classes. The next focus area is to provide free counseling to help people reduce Medicare costs. So this one is the Senior Linkage Line as an example. Many of you have probably heard of it. They provide free unbiased counseling to people eligible for Medicare, including all adults 65 and older. The final example for this one is or focus area and example is to advocate for improving and strengthening support services to meet the growing mental and behavioral health needs for older adults. So Touchstone Mental Health also received a Live Well at Home grant. They are based out of Minneapolis, and they provide access to housing and coordination of services and long-term supports for people who have been homeless and have multiple barriers to enter housing. This also includes many people of color and veterans. Priority area number 4 is social and community connections. The mission statement is we will be connected to people and things that matter to us and have lifelong opportunities to participate in and contribute to our communities. So some examples here and some of the focus areas were to improve capacity and expand reach of volunteer programs. So the Argyle Living at Home Block Nurse Program, in this example, they maintain and expand a volunteer coordination service for their older adults, and their role is primarily in-home services that resource the northwestern part of Minnesota. The next focus area is to build intergenerational connections. So this example is called Something Cool, and they are located in Aiken and Carlton counties. And they are helping teenage youth gain work skills by providing chore services for veterans, American Indian elders, and then adults with disabilities. And then the final focus area for priority 4 is to advocate for policies and funding that support connection and older workers. So the Volunteer Driver Coalition is highlighted here, and this one was created by an area agency on aging. And their main focus is to protect the viability of volunteer drivers and the programs in Minnesota, which is a vital part of transportation for our older adults. Priority area number 5 is caregiving and dementia. And the mission statement is we will be prepared to care for each other as we age and be supported in our roles as caregivers. So some of the focus areas and examples are to provide dementia awareness and caregiver support to older people who are LGBTQ. So Northwoods Caregivers in Bemidji, they are working to increase awareness and early identification of dementia to connect caregivers to each other. So this includes outreach to Native Americans and LGBTQ+ in their communities. The next one is to engage across sectors to build community support and understanding of people with dementia and caregivers. So with the support of a dementia grant for this one, Barnesville Area Helpers in Barnesville is expanding community awareness of dementia by providing individualized dementia-friendly sessions to their local businesses, banks, students, clergy, police department, fire departments, and their ambulance crews. The last one that I have for this slide is the using the arts and music to support people with dementia and caregivers. So the first community health organization and the Victory Fund of Duluth received a dementia grant where they were able to provide educational outreach, social connection, and music outreach and support for their choir participants. Priority area number 6 is individual rights and protections. And their mission statement is that we have the right to be educated and empowered to promote our rights and have our rights respected. The focus area and examples for these are reviewing and improving foundational policies to make them more effective and responsive to Minnesota's aging and changing population. So the Minnesota Department Human Services Aging and Adult Protection Services Division is actually leading a multi-year project to redesign Minnesota's Vulnerable Adult Act. So this is a program that helps respond to the maltreatment of vulnerable adults in the state. The next one is to advance older adult autonomy, choice, and well-being through efforts to strengthen and expand support decision-making. A recent Live Well at Home grant was given to the Volunteers of America in Minneapolis, and they are using this to promote and expand the use of supported decision-making in an effort to disrupt over-reliance on guardianship for the older adults. And then the final one we have for priority area number 6 is to help older adults access free and low-cost legal services. So several years ago, a Live Well at Home grant was given to legal services, and they were able to have remote locations where older adults could go to access computers, printing, and other resources to deal with their legal issues. So this model was proven to be so successful that there are now around 278 kiosks in high need areas throughout the state. You'll see some maybe at like your human services buildings. That's where I've tended to see them. Cool examples there. Priority number 7 is emergency preparedness. So their mission statement is that we will live in communities that are ready to keep us safe, connected, and autonomous before, during, and after a crisis. Be it public health, weather, or any disaster, really. So what they learned in 2020 that they really highlighted in this document, I'm going to talk through them and maybe share an example, but the basic needs took center stage. So here they focused on the food and nutrition and making sure that there was funding available to provide the meals and the means for those. So social isolation, what they really looked at there was the need of shifting our resources and our attention for outreach to ensure that individuals who were at home were well and had their basic needs met. Support caregiving during an emergency. So what they highlighted here was really the moving to online and the virtual caregiving that we had to do. So we had to learn how to support and give opportunities for those virtual meetings needed. And then that leads to the success of the shift to virtual platforms. So across the board, agencies and service providers needed to quickly figure out how they were going to offer their services virtually. The next one is don't waste a crisis. So here they highlighted that new connections and relationships are really important. And then the smarter and increased use of technology is really what was brought out in that crisis. And then the last one that they highlighted was age-friendly communities. So this example is really cool, but several Minnesotan cities that were AARP certified or in their network, they reported that their age-friendly initiatives put them in a stronger position to respond to COVID-related challenges than other communities were. And our last and final priority area, which is age-friendly integration. Here they really focused on their current strategies. So no mission statement for this yet, but they want to lead or actively participate and collaborate in cross-sector age-friendly efforts. So as of 2021, at least 10 or more now have, obviously, since it's 2023, have joined the AARP age-friendly networks. So in 2021, we had 10 cities and counties. They want to assist and support emerging age-friendly community initiatives. So the AAAs, the area agencies on aging, both encourage and educate stakeholders about the age-friendly work. Not only AARP, but Alexandria, Minnesota age-friendly also. So focusing on more than one way to be age-friendly. And then to educate and encourage action from community leaders. So working to ensure that our older adults are included in a priority of focus area. So the community health needs assessments, the community health improvement plans, and so on and so forth. And then also making sure that transportation is a top priority when having conferences around transportation and then presenting on age-friendly. And then the last one here is to partner with funders to support age-friendly communities efforts. So foundations and organizations hold a really major, hold a really strong place for us to be able to talk to them and get money as far as grants go for some of these age-friendly efforts. Jumping back a little bit to some of the AARP stuff, some of you have maybe already seen this, but what this is this is an overall livability score. So this is an example of where the state of Minnesota stands. AARP has a livability score for every single state. So for Minnesota, according to AARP, we are at 59. So this score rates an overall livability of whatever you select, whether it be your neighborhood, your city, your county, or your state. So again, in this instance, we are at the state level. So it is based on an average score of livability categories, which includes housing, neighborhoods, transportation, environment, health, engagement, and opportunity, which also range from 0 to 100. So these categories to me really mirror our 8 priority areas. AARP scores the communities by comparing them to one another. So the average community score is going to, the average score is going to be 50, while above average communities are going to score higher and below average communities are going to score lower. So with the national average being 50, Minnesota sits at 59, and our comparable states next door, Wisconsin sits at 56, and North Dakota sits at 54. So there's still a little work to be done. This is an AARP map 2 of Minnesota. So as noted earlier, Minnesota became the 10th state to join AARP's age-friendly networks. And then we spoke a little bit about the 44 efforts being made in the state of Minnesota. So there are 18 registered age-friendly members or efforts, which would be the counties, cities, and towns on this map. And then there are 26 AARP Community Challenge grantees. So community challenge grants are quick action turnaround grants that communities can write for in lieu of age-friendly efforts in their community. The clusters are basically where there are multi things going on, multiple efforts in that area. And in an effort to really help us understand how age-friendly communities work, we're going to show you this quick news clip of Maple Grove and their push to become age-friendly about 6 years ago. I want you to really think about the priority areas as we watch this video and what we talked about today to see that correlation.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Maple Grove is a fairly young city, but it won't be that way for long.
Just over 12% of its residents are above age 60, and that's relatively young compared to other cities. But another 16% are between 50 to 60 years old, and that's leading to some planning changes. Eric Nelson joins us with more on that. Eric?
Yeah, Alex and Mike, Maple Grove has received plenty of praise for its growth and vision in recent years. Now the suburb has its sights set on a new goal, becoming a so-called age-friendly city. From 8 to 80, Maple Grove wants to make their city desirable for all ages.
It looks at kind of our built environment, but also our programs and policies and how we address the various stages of life. And so kind of around this notion that if you build your community and provide services to address 8-year-olds and 80-year-olds, you've really addressed the broad spectrums of needs in the community.
Now, Maple Grove is one of the first suburbs in Minnesota that is trying to become age-friendly. To qualify, there are several key things the city is focusing on. Those factors include outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation, housing, civic participation and employment, and community health services.
We certainly want to give people the opportunity to stay in the community, age in the community, and really live a full life here. And so as we look at this program, we'll be looking for those opportunities of where we might, fill in some gaps or make improvements. But I think we're really sitting in a pretty good place today, too.
The AARP and the World Health Organization have teamed up to try and convince cities that they should become age-friendly. Maple Grove's Park Board will be in charge of seeing what action will be taken in the future. And Alex and Mike, Brooklyn Park will also look into becoming age-friendly. All right, Eric, thank you.
All right, so to kind of bring it all home, we do have an age-friendly panel discussion coming up. This is on Tuesday, June 13th from 10:30 to 12, where anyone is welcome to come and ask questions about what it could look like to be an age-friendly community. So we will have Jay Hopala from AARP there, and then we will have members from the Lakes area age-friendly and Park Rapids dementia-friendly initiatives there. So nice local event. To register, you can click the Eventbrite link that Amy just popped in the chat. You can visit our Dancing Sky page, our Facebook page, or you can contact one of us. And that is pretty much all. Oh, no. This is one of our final slides here. So this is just the meetings and events that are posted on the age-friendly website that they have. So if anyone's interested, they're more than welcome to join those. We will save some time for questions. If we can't answer them, we will take them to the panel. Hi, anybody have any? You can take yourself off mute, enter them into the chat. Feel free.
So I'm Randy and I'm from Northwest Community Action. And so this grant that we've just obtained is very new to us. And I'm going to be the supervisor for the position of that part-time person that's going to be doing the outreach for us. What would that, I mean, I don't know if any of you have done this before, but what does that look like to you? Like,
Are you speaking like the outreach that you're going to do to the community to try to be age friendly? Is that
correct? Yep. You actually used one of our examples in the that we're going in to do like the safety part of home repair and that kind of stuff, but or like home modifications for safety. I think it was number 2 of your priorities. Anyways, does this position to you guys look like you want them to actually go out and visit with the older community, like individuals? You want them to maybe talk to mayors and commissioners and things like that to see what, you know, their views might be? I mean, because as I see our community, it in the statistics of what you just said, it's exactly where we're at. So I'm just wondering, like, what, because it's a part-time position, it's specifically for outreach, and then, you know, finding out what would help the elderly people in our communities feel all these things that you're talking about. How do you see that happening? Or, I mean, have you guys been working with this for a while?
so? I don't know if I can, Amy, maybe you want to go. I don't know if I can speak specifically to your grant and what that all looks like. But as far, and Amy, maybe I'll let you say something. Maybe you have more to say.
Sure. So the question you're asking is in regards to what is the Minnesota Age Friendly Community Grant. So some of you on this may have applied and may have received some type of notification that you are in the list of organizations that will be receiving age-friendly community grant funds. And each age-friendly community grant looks different. It has different priorities that they're working on, that sort of thing. We actually were awarded, Dancing Sky was awarded funding to be a technical assistance provider, but we did not award the funds ourselves. So we, meaning Stephanie, Val, and I, we can't answer questions in regards to that on behalf of the state. That's something that the state would need to answer as the age-friendly grantee. They are providing the funds, and so I should say grantor. So they are providing the funds. So as far as your specific grant, they would be providing you oversight in that regard. But on another note, we as the technical assistance provider will be there to assist with that process. And honestly, for those community grants, every single community is going to look different, both in what they requested to fund. You know, there were requests out there to redo maybe a community swimming pool and make it more accessible, all the way to, like you were talking about, hiring a position for somebody to work towards age friendly. Excuse me. So we really can't answer specifics about that because, again, we haven't been assigned to certain communities to assist them, number one. And number two, for each community that will look very different. And so what you're doing will look different than what a different community is doing. But again, area agencies on aging throughout the state of Minnesota, other technical assistance providers throughout the state of Minnesota, we're all going to be here to help you however we can. But what you talked about, as far as having people meet one-on-one with older adults, meet with city officials, the short answer to your question is yes. Hopefully it will be all of the above, but we know that the priorities are really very broad. And so I don't think the intent was that that organizations would need to do all of those priorities, but maybe pick a few that they can do really well and focus on those. And even if a community isn't funding through Age Friendly Minnesota, the goal is really that this doesn't have to be work that's done under any specific entity or organization. That the idea behind this is that all communities, large, small, in between, that they can all take steps to become more age friendly. And what that looks like in one community might be very different than what it looks like in another community. So sorry, that's not a better answer, but right now, until we get more information from Age Friendly Minnesota and the direction they want to go, that's kind of right now where we're at. We're kind of waiting and planning and can't wait to get things going. So does that kind of help? I know it's not really a great answer, but probably the best answer we can give at this time.
No, that was an awesome answer, Amy, and I thank you for that, because I guess I didn't realize how differently all of our fundings and our opportunities are. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
You bet.
Kelly Kay, did you have something? No, nothing. Okay. Jane had put a question in the chat. How does Age Friendly address accessibility in the city and in care facilities? So this is kind of going to be similar to Amy's answer. It really depends on the community and what they see as a need. So a lot of times it might start with someone recognizing that you could say that let's see, which example do I want to use? That the sidewalks aren't accessible for, and again, you think of it for ages 8 through 80. It's not just your 80-year-olds, it's your strollers, it's your wagons, it's the walkers, it's everything. So, in that example, they might have to go to the city hall. They might have to engage different people. If you want to do something in a park, you're going to have to engage different people. So it really depends on that accessibility piece, where it's at, and who we need at the table. I know that's kind of a broad answer, Jane. Does that help you at all?
Well, I've just found in the city that I work in the most out of the 21 counties, recently found assisted livings who are age friendly, meaning accessibility in assisted living apartments and things like that. And I feel like we forgot to look at that when we built the assisted livings, and I don't know how we present that to an assisted living to have them understand how important it is. It's important now and it'll be important till the end of time, right? Because that's their population that's coming in to, live there. So.
Yeah, and I think community is a really broad term. It doesn't just mean a city or a state or whatever. It could mean just that assisted living as a community needs to work to become more age friendly for their facility.
Yeah.
And I think too, Jane, you raised a really important point, is that age friendly really, it isn't like a destination that we arrive at. It's a continual process. So we might update sidewalks, we might make things more accessible in that regard, or a building or whatever it may be, but then we still have much larger things to work on. And all of those 8 priorities, I mean, honestly, you could list so many things under all of those 8 priorities, and to make them all work perfectly at the same time will never happen. But that's the really cool thing about it, is it continually can move along and improve, and new ideas will come forward, technology, all of those different things will come into play. And so it's, again, it's a process that will never end. We constantly are going to be working towards this, all of us, and we all need to be involved. And looking around, a lot of these individuals, you are the champions for this. We need you to include other people and non-traditional people into this. So, the kids at school, they need to be learning about this and talking about this. City officials, county officials, state officials. We need to pull in transportation providers, the library. We need to pull in health services. We need to pull in all these different even businesses. I mean, I think sometimes too, we forget that business aspect of the main street needs to be age friendly as well, the banks and the grocery stores. So I mean, wow, when you talk about work to do, we have lots of work to do, but we also have achieved really great things too. So it's kind of a both looking backwards, saying, yeah, those are great things, and then celebrating those, but then moving forward of all the things we want to do ahead as well, and be really innovative with them and try new things. And oh, that didn't work. Well, let's try something new.
Thank you.
And I would say that our panel is going to offer a wide variety, because we'll have Jay who will focus on the AARP stuff. We have Lakes Area Age Friendly, who is AARP age friendly. And then we have Park Rapids, who doesn't exactly have a designation, but has done really fantastic things. So, you know, kind of that whole spectrum of, you don't need to be designated to be age friendly and doing age friendly work. You can do it regardless. Any other thoughts or questions as we wrap up? Shelley K had asked, do you know how much funding cities providers for senior initiatives and or senior centers, such as cost per resident for people over 65? Amy, do you have any of that data?
You know, that's a very good question, and I wish I knew the answer to that. But the problem is that I don't even know where you'd find that information, because that could really encompass a lot of different entities that are providing services to older adults. I mean, you think about, that could be everything from like public works to law enforcement, to senior service, direct senior services, in the home and community-based, to facilities, to yeah, I wish I had that answer, because I think that would be some really good information. And if anybody else has ideas where to find that, please let us know. But yeah, I think normally they probably look at those costs as separate things, and instead of one lump sum. So I don't know where that information would come from. Anybody else have ideas on that answer? Well, I'm seeing some head shakes no. But if you ever figure out how to come up with that amount, please share it with us, because we would love that information as well. And then we will send it out to everyone else as well, because I think even just for funding requests and just a general knowledge of that information would be really important. Not a great answer, but unfortunately all we have.
All right, anyone else? Questions, thoughts? All right, well, if you do, you can reach out to Val or myself or Amy, and we are happy to help field questions or try to help find answers. So thank you everyone for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.